Welcome to Syntax. Today, I'm going to be talking about Omarchy. And I'm going to say Omarchy. I believe that's how it's spelled. If that is a wrong pronunciation, please correct me. Omarchy is a much hyped new Linux install from DHH and the Basecamp folks. And if you're around tech Twitter, you may have seen a lot of people talking about this. It being great, wanting to buy a framework computer, and just being like, wow, this is really, really, really exciting. So you may have seen some chatter about it. And if you haven't, this would be a good opportunity for you to check out and learn something new. I'll be showing some video for this. If you're a video watcher, you'll have a lot to see. If you're an audio listener, we will still make sure we're describing things and make it not too visual, but always, again, check us out on YouTube at Syntax FM. Smash that subscribe button because we release a lot of great stuff, or Spotify where there is video as well. My name is Scott Dolinsky. I'm a developer from Denver. With me, as always, is Wes Boss. What's up, Wes?
Hey, I knew that you would be into this. As soon as everybody started talking about an entirely different Linux distribution, and I know you've dipped into using Linux several times in the past, and you have some hardware as well. But I was like, I'm counting the clock until the days that Scott says he's going to try this and say it's the best thing ever, and it was probably hours.
It is interesting. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of working on Linux in the past. And even through this, there was some growing pains, but, having a long holiday weekend, it gave me a chance to actually explore some things or just get a feel for it. And my troubles with Linux have often been the moment something doesn't work, I'm like, I'm so annoyed. Something doesn't work here. Or why is this so janky? Why is this experience not feel great? And I think the thing I really have liked about Omarchy is that once you understand the philosophy and the UI and you understand the flow of working in it, it feels like nothing else, and it feels very polished. And that's a really great thing for me. I do like polish, and I'm not talking UI polish necessarily. It's experiential polish, which we'll get into quite a bit. And if you want to see all of the errors in your application, you'll want to check out Sentry at sentry.io/syntax. You don't want a production application out there that, you have no visibility into in case something is blowing up, and you might not even know it. So head on over to sentry.io/syntax. Again, we've been using this tool for a long time, and it totally rules. All right. So Omarchy, what is it? It's an opinionated Arch and Hyprland setup, okay? One thing you'll know about Linux in the world of Linux is that there's 1,000 different names for things and different installs of all kinds of different systems, and it's tough to get it all, there's not one Linux, right? It's not like you're installing Linux. There's all these different distributions. They're all built on different things. They're all built on different foundations. Yeah. And this particular one is Arch, which is a intentionally super lightweight distribution that was first released in 2002, very CLI based rather than UI based, which that doesn't mean there's no good UI for this. There certainly is, but that's just something to know here. It is Hyprland. It's a Hyprland setup. What is Hyprland? Hyprland is window layout management, so to say. It's how the windows are managed on the desktop, which is kind of just like a tiling manager, but there's more than that. It fundamentally changes how you interact with your computer compared to how you're used to using it on a Mac or any of that stuff.
Man, it seems nice. I'll say I haven't given it a dip just yet. My sister gave me her old Mac Pro, which has a pretty good, it has a SSD in it. It's been updated. It has a pretty good Intel Xeon processor in it, and everybody's like, throw this on it. That would be sweet. But I don't know if I've got time for that.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same. But that said, I do think I have heard that the Mac install for it maybe isn't as effortless as something like this. I'm running mine on a System 76 Lemur 14-inch laptop that I've had for a while. I mostly ran Pop! OS on it, but I just really hated Pop! OS. There were so many things, nothing felt good on it. It always felt kind of janky. So it ultimately, I used it, but it never became my main thing. So What is Hyprland? It's the window tiling and management. You'll see that a lot. I'll show it off a lot in this. We'll talk about what makes it interesting. That is built on top of something called Wayland. You know what Wayland is?
No.
Okay. Wayland is essentially the modern Linux display server protocol. It was a big shift over that the Linux ecosystem is still kind of undergoing, whether or not something is Wayland based or not. And many of the distros are like making Wayland the new default. Previously, things were based on X11, and this new architecture makes it more streamlined. There's less historical baggage in the software. Things are more performant, faster, efficient, secure. So it's basically a new way of my understanding of this. And folks, there are so many, like, I feel like I'm going to get skewered by Linux folks on this. My understanding, it's basically the protocol for how Linux is interacting with drawing windows into the browser. That is my understanding of it, folks. Please leave comments below on how wrong I am, if that is in case the fact. So basically, Omarchy is this pre-configured set of Linux tools. It's all set up for you that feels nice and polished. It looks great. It's fast as hell. And it's easy to use as long as you have a tolerance for managing and learning keyboard shortcuts. It also comes with a lot of stuff pre-installed, which when I say a lot of stuff pre-installed, what I mean is like when you set up a Mac computer, like you're installing apps for hours. You're getting going for hours and hours and hours. You're getting things set up. And this, you do not have to do that, which was like sincerely a wonderful experience. There's just so many things that I use every single day that came pre-installed on this thing. Not only just pre-installed, but had system-wide shortcuts already enabled. So like, for instance, out of the box from this thing, if I wanted to pop open a, let's say, what's an app I use? I want to pop open ChatGPT. All I have to do is hit super, or Mac folks command A. So like super A, and it pops open ChatGPT right here. It just pops it right open. And those kind of system-wide shortcuts for opening these types of things exist in all kinds of stuff. And you can add your own just so easily. So, yeah. That's
interesting because like generally a power user, right? A power user sets up a MacBook and you're forever fussing with stuff and you're forever getting it dialed in. And it's same with your editor as well, right? And
yes,
just having something sort of like pre-made, ready to go, someone's figured it out. I don't mind relearning keyboard shortcuts if I know that it's been like thoughtfully done ahead of time.
And they make sense. So like one thing that I've gotten really used to with Omarchy in general is that, and people who don't use Mac, this will make less sense to you. The super key or command key for Mac users, I'll just say super for the rest of this. The super key manages mostly system things. So if I hit like super W, it's going to close the window, right? Where Control W is going to close the tab in a browser or something, right? So like you use Control to manage shortcuts within an app, and you use Super to manage shortcuts system-wide. Where like on Mac, you kind of just use Command inside of apps, outside of apps for system stuff, all kinds of stuff. Where that little distinction, once I understood, all right, like Super is primarily for system stuff, Control is inside of apps, like that to me like changed things quite a bit in terms of like, getting the control verse. I'm so used to command. My hands are so used to doing command C, command whatever. So my very first initial thoughts when installing this thing, and I'm sure many of you, if you give this a try, will have some same things. I'm overwhelmed at first by all of the shortcuts, right? You install it, it drops you off kind of like in a blank window, whatever, and you're like, okay. It did tell me that I could do Super Alt and hit spacebar to open up this, and then go down to learn more. And you go to learn, and there's just like, all right, what do I even do here? You're trying to figure out what to do. And that was definitely super intimidating for me to get started. But again, you get little by little. And once, I bet if I had a coach working me through this, I'd be fine in like 10 minutes, right? You know what to do first. The very first thing I tried to do is I want to connect some of my files that I have on my Linux server. So then I go to the Files app, right? You go to connect to your SMB. I enter my address, and it just shows up as red. There's no error. There's no nothing. I'm just like, okay, it's great. It's red. What does that mean? Turns out I needed to install SMB, which, again, classic Linux thing where, like, the UI doesn't even tell you that something's wrong. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. You got to go to Google. And I'm initially super annoyed by this. I'm like, this has got to be the worst experience, right? I already don't know what I'm doing. I can't even get into my SMB. I will say that that's the last time I had that specific type of issue. Everything else has just worked, which has been great.
But like, it comes with one password, but not SMB.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the idea behind that? Like, people are like, that's a low level network protocol.
Bro, I couldn't tell you. I think it's an Arch Linux thing.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea. Maybe they're just trying to keep it streamlined to the stuff that DHH uses all the time. And maybe it was just a configuration thing. Maybe it does come with SMB and that's a bug and I just needed to reinstall it. Who knows? Another issue I had when I first started, the UI felt giant. This computer, again, is not great. A number of my complaints about this experience have been on this computer specifically. So Omarchy out of the box isn't like intended for computers with a higher pixel density. So I had to go into monitor config and adjust the UI scaling right out of the box because mine was just like, wow, everything feels like it's taking up so much space here. Only did I realize like, oh, it's just this laptop shitty screen that's giving me guff.
Well, it wasn't that like you needed like proper drivers for like the high resolution.
It was just a config, a one line in a config. So like I ended up having to go to the system menu. I had to go to, I believe, setup, went to monitors, and then like you go to monitors, and this is the experience in Omarchy. You think you're going to a menu to do something, right? And then it pops you into a text file inside of Neovim. I think I had to change, it was set up to like auto 1 or something. I don't know. I went online and I read the manual and set this to preferred auto 1, and that made it fine. So that's the kind of experience you might have. That said, it did feel fast, right? Things felt very fast, and it feels very cool looking to use, right? The whole thing feels very cool. Just very nice. So that was my first experience. Day 2, I'm moving around better. I kind of understand moving from space to space. I'm hitting my keyboard shortcuts. I'm doing super 1, 2, whatever to change the window because there's no window layering. I mean, there is window layering, but it sucks. So everything kind of tiles. So instead of layering windows on top of each other, you have a tile, and then you want to set up a new space, whatever. You go to a new, let's even close this one. You go to a new space, you hit super enter, it opens up a terminal, right? So that's kind of the flow for this. Oh, I want to move this to another space. I do shift super 3 and it moves it to this space. Okay, now I actually want to close that. It's gone. So you end up getting this like really nice flow going. And part of that just like once your fingers get used to that, you're like, dang, I'm going to go open a new browser. Okay, there's not enough space. Move it to a new space. Type in go, it all feels very nice.
Yeah, I've talked about this in the past, but I tried using Aerospace for probably about 2 weeks. And that was brutal for me. I was pretty into it. Like I got past the initial hump of it and I really liked it. It just didn't, as someone who has to like record their screen and explicitly place things, it was just a little bit short. But I have a couple issues on Aerospace's GitHub of like things that I would like to see, and I could get updates every now and then if they're talking about fixes. So I might give it a dip again, but it just is a little bit too rigid. I want it to be rigid and opinionated, but I also want to be able to break out of stuff like that. Like can you just manually resize a window here, or are you all in on this tiling manager?
Yeah, check it out. Okay, so let's say I wanted to resize Neovim over here. I would hold super hit left to highlight this window. You can see like the highlight of which window you're currently acting on.
I had that set up too.
And you hold super still, and at this point I would hit plus or minus, and like that's it. Yeah, so plus or minus or whatever. And then this maintains this layout, though. If I want to then move this down here, I can hit J, I can hit J again, I can hold Shift Super and swap the position of this one to that one. And if this looks like low FPS to you, it's not. It's super clean on my end. And then the whole thing just feels like snappy, super snappy. I think that to me was like one of the most surprising things is how polished it all felt. But yeah, no, once you get those keyboard shortcuts or whatever where you're moving it, and I had such a hard time with the arrow. Was it Aerospace? What was it?
Yeah, Aerospace is the one that I was using.
I had such a hard time picking that up, but for some reason, this required no config. I didn't have to config it, and everything just like made sense.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I spent maybe an entire day getting my Aerospace dialed in and like looking up what like other power users were doing.
Right.
And there wasn't like a decent config out of the box. But once I got it, and that whole like resize one window and then the rest of them will also resize is ideal. That's what I want.
Yeah, it all feels very nice. I feel like I could have a good setup. I mean, I feel like I do have a good setup. Like, keep in mind, I've been using this computer, this Linux computer, pretty much exclusively for like 5 days now. And I have been feeling good. Like, I haven't had to open my MacBook. My MacBook has been sitting closed, which is like very wild for me.
Have you done any real work on it, though? Do people who use Linux do any real work?
I did lots of real work. And that kind of comes down to the way that this is set up with the apps that are on here. No, you're entirely obviously making a joke about that. But for me, some of this stuff is hard because I'm not a good Neovim user. Neovim is the preferred and setup editor in here, and it is done so via something called Lazyvim. What's nice about Lazyvim and Neovim is that it is definitely very set up. Like, I don't have to fuss with a lot to get this like working and feel nice. Like, even for instance, if I hit this key, it does give you like a guide down here on different stuff you can do. And for me, like, I don't know how to do anything in this stuff. So I'm like needing these guides or trying to understand. So yeah, I've been able to actually dev really well. And actually something that's nice on here is it also comes with Lazygit. Lazygit is a like a TUI, terminal UI version of Git. And this Lazygit, when I saw this repo months ago for the Mac, I was like, I don't understand why this is better than anything that I use. This is great. This is a great little interface for managing Git. Like, from here, you just hit, C to commit, S to stash, G to reset. There's all these different key bindings, again, like everything, and you learn them and you get good at it.
And it gives you a bit of a UI in the terminal where you can kind of see what's up, right? Similar to like you'd get in VS Code.
And you don't have to do everything with your keyboard all the time. What's cool about this is I can actually like click on stuff. Like, I don't
click on stuff. Wow.
You can click on stuff.
Linux has come a long way.
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild that I can click on stuff. But also, too, like, this is something that's really nice about this UI. So if I want to manipulate something, like, let's say I want to be done with this window, I don't have to do super and paw around to it or whatever. I can just have my mouse over it and hit super W. So your mouse highlights whatever window it's on top of. And it ends up feeling like a really nice kind of like, you feel kind of like a superhero using this thing.
Yeah, you want to be like a keyboard master, right? Like, I'd spent so much time getting all my keyboard shortcuts dialed in and being as efficient as possible. But other times you simply just want to click on things. And even like, I was talking to John Lindquist about his setup, and he has like a whole like mouse setup where like when he clicks on something and he holds different keys, they do different items, and like his mouse is just as important as his keyboard shortcuts, because your mouse, you can indicate specifically which item you want something to happen on. So he was as somebody who is like so into productivity and efficiency, he's not gone away from the mouse, which is often what you see with these guys, but he's gone into the mouse and made a mouse click mean a lot more. Yeah,
and with the what is it, the Logitech mouse that is so good. Like, there's
MX
like so
Master,
many buttons on that thing. Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff with it. So let's talk about OS stuff like polish and experience. Like, how do you end up using it? If you're a Mac user who uses Raycast, you're going to feel right at home because the command palette, like the app launcher, is super spacebar by default. And there's a ton of stuff pre-installed on here, like 1Password, Chromium, Discord, Like all this stuff, Figma comes pre-installed. Like all this stuff comes pre-installed. So like when you first open this, you can do, super S or super spacebar, type in Figma and it'll open. It's really great that comes out of the box. So this app launcher is baked in. And that's, again, just super space.
Can we talk about the rest of Raycast really quickly? Because
oh yes, it is not the rest of Raycast for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you can't do like adding, or you can't do all the extensions and things like that. And that is like, I'm trying to think like what would be the things that I would miss if I were to move over to that. And Raycast would certainly be one of them. Although there was a post on Hacker News, I'll link it up. This Byte at a Time. He's recreating Raycast for Linux, but trying to like recreate the entire API so that you can just use Raycast extensions in Linux.
That's great. Yeah. I think that the things that I would like, I use Raycast as my clipboard manager, which I would find some other way to do. I haven't added a clipboard manager to this just yet. You don't really need it as much. I guess there's some stuff in Neovim to help with that, but yeah, I would want a clipboard manager in this. It is like, yeah, this is strictly an app launcher. That said, installing things is, or even like getting around managing things, if you do super alt space, you saw this menu, which is like the system-wide command prompt. And from here, you can do so much from this thing, whether it is like learning about the system or opening apps, screen capture and screen record. So if I hit capture, you can do a screenshot or screen record. If you hit screen record, you can do window or whole monitor, all that stuff. Saves it right as MKV in your documents instantly. So that has been super nice. I don't know why this is just listed as toggle, but these are things you might want to toggle, like a screensaver, idle lock, top bar, nightlight, which is, yeah. But this, it won't show me the screensavers are dope on this thing. It won't let you see them in Riverside, but
man, screensaver. We got to bring back screensavers, man.
This thing is bringing back screensavers. It's essentially just text, and then it does like matrix style or things hitting it left and right. I want to know how they built them because they're incredible. There's so many different ones that they're just constantly looping. They're so cool. Okay, next one is style. You can change the style of the OS, whether you want to change the entire OS system font, you want to change the background, you want to change the screensaver, which again is just changing a text file because it will modify. Like if we wanted to do the syntax logo as ASCII art, it would use that and do all the same stuff with the screensaver. Or even theme, which there's a ton of built-in themes about this thing. So like the built-in themes, they change a lot. So if I wanted to, what's a good one to try? The just like a green one I had installed that's ridiculous. Yeah, Hacker Green. If we do Hacker Green, watch how much it changes things. It changes like your colors, it changes the spacing, it changes the borders, it changes all that stuff. And you can install new themes super easily. You can build new themes. And so I've had a lot of fun just trying that new stuff, just seeing and being able to mess with the stuff myself.
And like what about like media and stuff like that? Like I'm assuming most of the apps you use either have a Linux version or are just like web apps, right?
Yes. So I have a whole section on here on the apps that I use every day that work just fine inside of this are OBS, Obsidian, Chrome, Discord, Figma, Google Photos. That stuff all comes on this, and I didn't have to install it. Works fine. And then easy to install anything, VS Code, whatever else I install. I mean, I've installed a bunch of stuff on this, but the one thing that you'll learn about this is that, man, we probably use and install more web apps or could than when we'd expect. So much of the stuff that we do is available as a web app that I've installed most things on this as a web app. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's another one I've installed that doesn't come on it, but works. DaVinci Resolve works for Linux, is on here.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like video editing is a huge one for people, right? You need to be able to. A lot of people are on the Mac because they need either some of the Adobe apps or like a video editor.
Yeah, there is a built-in video editor for this, but it looks very Linuxy. It looks very like Inkscape, I know those people, the Linux folks have been like, oh, it's what I edit my videos on. No, it's not going to do it for me. But
yeah,
DaVinci
what's the
Resolve
audio one?
Is fine.
Audacity.
Come on.
Like, man, you open that thing and you're like, oh man, that's great that this is open source, but like, Holy hell. Actually, I think last time I complained about Audacity, somebody told me that there's a new skin for it. Is that true? No, it still looks... Oh, no. No, it looks a little bit more modern now. Okay. Good job, Audacity.
I will say I have not done any editing on DaVinci, but it should work just fine. There's no concerns there. Some of the concerns for me are more hardware related than they are software, like getting my Camlink running with my audio setup running on this thing is going to be a pain in the ass because this computer has one USB-C port and it's just the computer is like not capable of running a lot of media. I don't think.
I'm not up to date on like people building like machines. Can you get like an AMD 64 Linux? I'm assuming, right? Like that's what's running on all these phones. So are people building like an M whatever equivalent?
Yeah, there's like several
ARM 64. That's what I'm thinking here, not AMD.
Yeah, there's several different computer manufacturers that are making some computers. The one that seems to be the most popular right now with those folks is the Framework computer, which is a computer where you can replace everything. It does use AMD. It uses Ryzen. It doesn't use ARM.
Okay.
And these computers are... I've done a lot of reading about these computers lately. It's that they are not the cheapest, best options available for, like, you're not getting the best bang for your buck, but you can replace literally anything in them. And this 16-inch computer can be seriously spec'd out. So the 16-inch one can have, this Ryzen A9 730, 12 cores, 24 threads, NPU of 50 tops. It has a external graphics processor that you can just plug in, 16 graphics cores, and then you could load this thing with like 1 billion gigabytes of RAM. So,
you don't have to pay the stupid Apple tax on that, or they screw you when you want a couple more gigs. Hey, 128 gigs on your laptop? That seems like a good idea. And
it shoots up to 96. Yeah, right. And that's the whole thing. You can have terabytes at like this. This is so enticing, especially because it is just normal stuff that you can just, put on a motherboard. To me, that is like, I am swayed by this. I'm like interested in this. What's so cool about even the graphics processor on this, and this is a little aside here, is that let's say I was going on a business trip and I didn't want to I wanted to have my battery last longer. You could just pull off the graphics processor and just slide in a spacer that fills it in, and that's it. Like,
well, that's cool.
You don't have to do anything crazy. Like, you could just adjust the specs of it and increase your battery life.
Just leave your processor at home.
Right. It's wild. So we talked about apps that, that there are, like I said, OBS is built in and all that stuff is built in. Installing any of my dev stuff, you can install it via the command line if you want, right? But if you come in here and do install from the system prompt, there's all kinds of stuff you can install. So AUR is like ARC packages. So like when I installed Molvad, which is my VPN, I did it through this. But then you can install web apps. You can install terminal UIs from here. You can install services. You can install new style things like new fonts. And if we go to like development, you could install Docker from here, or a Docker comes pre-installed, but you could install from JavaScript. You could then install buns on. So you don't have to go to the terminal for everything, right? You can come in here and just quickly install these things as you need them. And likewise, like same with like VS Code is under here under editor. Yeah, you want to install any of this stuff. It's just here. Boom. You don't have to go hunting for it.
So what if you need to like install something via the CLI? Is that with AUR, or do you got to like apt-get whatever? Because like even Discord, you know how we whine about Discord updating itself every time you open it? On Linux, I've heard that you have to like literally apt-get install the thing every time there's an update.
Yeah, I don't know about that necessarily, about the updates, but the equivalent of apt-get here is Pacman, which gets packages, or you just do R, and like if I was searching for a package, I don't know why this is taking long. It doesn't normally take this long. You would just search for whatever you want, and it would pop up in this list. Everything is kind of like a terminal UI for these types of things. There isn't like, like normal Linux distros, there's the whole, I'm used to this in like Steam Deck if I'm installing packages. So yeah, typically you would just install AUR, and if you're a power user, you could, in fact, just come to the command line. I don't know why that's not working. It hasn't ever failed for me before, but that's the game, right? Web apps. So, web apps on this system are a first-class citizen. It is awesome. Like if I wanted to install a web app on this thing, and I do install and I do web app, and it asks me for the app name, whatever. It asks for its URL, so HTTPS syntax.fm. Okay, and then it needs an icon. Shoot, it needs an icon. I don't know if I have an icon.
I'll get you
ready.
the link.
Okay, so syntax has been installed. So now from the launcher, you could just say, "Get me syntax."
I saw it.
Oh, did I?
It's app anime. It's called
App name?
App
Oh,
name.
I just typed in app name. I didn't give it a name. That's my fault. That's my bad, folks. It just shows up. It has the logo. You hit enter. It pops it open as a web app. Sorry, I'm running like recording in 8 tabs like this. So everything's going to feel way more sluggish. This thing is normally extremely fast, and I think it's just because I'm doing screen recording while we're doing this. So this is primarily how you install anything. Like I've installed my to-do list here, like Tweak. I changed my mail to be superhuman, or I can do, for my mail, I actually named it email. I can do Command E and it pops open my email. And web apps then become, like I said, a first-class citizen, and you use these things as if they're apps. I mean, this is just a straight-up app. It exists, right, for all I know. So many of the things that I thought I would install a normal app for, you'd download the DMG and drag the thing over. No, they're just web apps. Slack, I installed it as a web app. Reddit, web app. Superhuman, web app. Tweak, web app. And it's been great. That's like
the future.
Why am I installing an Electron app when I can just use the web app without, well, like why? What's the point? Yeah.
That's the thing is that like, why do we install so many of these silly Electron apps? It's simply just because we want them in our dock,
right.
and or we want some sort of like native integration. But like most of that could probably suffice with just a docked web app. And Safari
it doesn't
lets you do that now.
Yeah, I know, but like the process for it all is such a pain. I think this process could be smoother too. One thing I really don't like doing is having to hunt for a logo PNG. Like, yeah, give it a name, give it an address. Now I got to hunt for a PNG. Like that kind of thing kind of bugs me. But the fact that these just pop up and they're apps like this, that to me is like, wow. It really drives home the fact that these are not web apps. They are apps. They are apps that we use. Like, to me, it was such a good moment of like celebrating the web because there's no distinction made. This is not an app opening up in Chrome as a progressive web app. This is just straight up app and how it is. Like I said, I've been using all kinds of stuff from Slack. I installed Notion that way. Notion is just a straight up web app here. I could give it a keyboard shortcut if I wanted to. Yeah, it's really pretty cool. The keyboard shortcut again is super easy to manage all this stuff. You just set up key bindings, opens it up, add it yours, So that's something I love about this. I think it's really great. The apps that I'm going to miss the most from using this full time going to be the Comet browser for sure. Man, I've really grown to love Comet browser. That thing rules. I use it all the time for automating things for me. So like not having that, I feel like I'm going back in time. That just means I'll need to like find a new agentic solution for working with a browser, whatever that may be. iMessage, I'll miss iMessage because, I'll text my wife from my computer, but maybe it's like a better distraction-free thing at work. And I have my phone sitting next to me at all times anyways.
Having it in like AirDrop, holy hell, AirDrop's the best,
I never use AirDrop.
No? Oh, man. I send stuff from my phone to my desktop all the time, like little video clips or photos that need to be emailed to somebody. I don't know. I there's probably some app, everyone's probably been like, use this Android version, There's got to be that, but just the built-in integration of AirDrop is really nice. But I've been thinking about that as well. It's like, what things am I still loving iOS for? And it's like AirDrop and like iMessage, not even that much anymore.
No, iMessage not that much. It's mostly just so I can do it from my computer.
I'm trying to make like why is everybody not just moving to like WhatsApp or Telegram or things like that? Like a lot of my group chats
wish it was
no
WhatsApp.
longer on.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a single group chat on iMessage anymore. They're all on like third-party platforms, which is the best.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and this whole Omarchy thing has been like really kind of throwing me for a loop here, because this feels like, I'd have a hard time giving this to a non-power user and having them use, but this feels like a next generation operating system to me. This feels like a step forward, not a step back. And Linux has always felt like a step back, just because the sheer amount of speed and productivity and smoothness of the experience, and I'm not like, I come back to Mac and I'm like, man, this thing feels clunky. One thing that it really bugged me about modern Mac is that they've added so many useless features, and then they don't maintain them, they don't improve them, and they just let them rot. Like Stage Manager. Who cares about Stage Manager? That's got to be the worst way to manage your Windows. But yeah, they added it in here, and they're not going to improve it. It's just going to exist.
Yeah, they just half-ass it enough.
They half-ass it.
Like regular people are not using a window manager, and then like power users are not using it because it's like there's no way to do like stuff like put 3 windows stacked on top of each other, like power user stuff. Like the Shortcuts app is a great example of like they went all in, and you can literally do anything. But then, like, I don't know a ton of people using that either.
Yeah, it does feel like large portions of macOS have just completely rotted, and they're not being touched. And this latest operating system upgrade, which I'm on the latest beta right now, I will tell you, Tahoe, is that what it is? I will tell you that this update has made it very apparent to me that things are getting worse, not better in that regard. Because not only does it not do anything but make, like, it changes the UI, which sure, the new UI looks nice, but it also has really bad screen real estate management. Like, there's so much empty space, and there's so many things that are like UI deficient. Like, if you make the window too small, it's just hiding some menu options that you can't even access them. They're not in the, like, yeah.
Can we talk about I have the MacBook, and it has the little cutout for the
cutout.
webcam.
Yeah, that's so lazy.
If you have too many menu bar icons,
dude,
they're inaccessible. There's no way to get to them. And then everyone's like, well, install Bartender. I'm not installing a third party. I have it installed and I use it, yes. But like regular people should not have to install a third party app. Dude. That like this is a problem that you literally are just hiding menu bar items and menu items and giving the user no way to access them.
Yeah. To me, there was like some crazy stuff with the new Mac UI where it feels like they made a coat of paint and just said apply to all, and then didn't test or use half the apps, because everything is so much bigger and takes up so much space now that things do not fit well. It is so much more cluttered. And man, I really don't mind necessarily the way it looks, but it doesn't feel like any sort of UX expert has had any hand in this thing. It feels like they slapped a coat of paint over it. And it's further made apparent because the system windows have this massive, like, 25 pixel plus border radius on it, but your normal windows like Notion have the normal border radius. So when you set multiple windows on top of each other, the border radiuses all don't line up. Like, it feels so lazy and just bizarre. So like for me, I'm like felt like macOS is rotting so much, and it feels clunky. This feels like a cheetah, man. It feels like a Ferrari. It is. And I'm so used to Linux being so unpolished. And sure enough, there are little things here and there. And, having terminal UIs for everything isn't my favorite thing in the whole world. But, like, this usage of it just feels great. That's it. There's annoyances for me. A lot of little annoyances. DHH, I would like this. I don't know if anybody else cares. But when you do a command prompt and the system prompt, I don't know why, like, I can't search for font, but I have to search for style or system style, then font, Like, why do I have to go to style?
Yeah, you need some, like, fuzzy font searching.
Yeah, let me go deeper with that. Two, there's lots of names for stuff. It's not like the Omarchy system. It's the Hyprland window tiling system. It is whatever the top bar is called. There's names for everything, and they're different packages, which I understand. That's just like it's the package, right? But because of that, I got to learn, all right, what is this thing? What does it do? I got to get in the config. I got to go to that specific website to learn the config. I got to, like, understand all these different parts. which is not like unified, but it's the Linux way. So, just little annoyances from a Mac user, right? So my advice to you with Omarchy is to try it. If you have a machine sitting around that you can install it on, man, it's a hell of a lot better than Windows, I'll tell you that. macOS, yeah, I think it might be a little bit harder to install on a Mac, but install it. Even if you can try it in a VirtualBox, if you can, I don't know if that's a thing, try it. And if you want to spend some serious time on it, read the manual. The manual is like, that was my biggest thing that I regret not doing. I regret not immediately going to the manual and reading every page of this, because by the end of the first day, I opened up the manual, I started reading the manual, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's how I learned about installing the web apps. That's how I learned about Lazygit. And like, we didn't even talk about, like, there's a lot of shell tools that come built into this, like the fuzzy finder and shell ISA, which is like a replacement for LS. That is really great. The replacement for CD is so good. Was it Zoxide? All this stuff is great. I'm going to install all of these on my Mac because I've gotten really used to them. And then same like, they common shell functions like, just compress, decompress. Like they just added a bunch of stuff, image to PNG, whatever. Lazygit, LazyDuck, or all these little things that come on this. Once I like dove through here and like really understood it, I was like, wow, this is really fantastic. And it really removed a lot of the concerns I had with it. It's just like, it's really, really nicely put together. So read the manual, give it a try. And is it worth your time? If this is if this episode spoke to you at all, hell yeah, it's worth it. I've been really liking this to the point where like, I've gotten such renewed use out of this crappy old lab. I don't even know. It's not super old, but it's not like spec'd out like this MacBook Pro is. And when I'm working in the two of them, this feels faster to use. And it might not seem like that with the screen recording, what you're seeing here. But like in practice, man, this thing feels so much more lightweight to use. So I found myself walking away from this whole experience the past few weeks, heading over to the Framework laptop page and pricing out a laptop 18 times. That's kind of like just like seeing if there's some possible way I can justify it. Because, yeah, I found this to be so nice that I would not mind if, as long as I could get and be assured that my audio interface, which should by all intents and purposes work just fine, as long as the audio interface works just fine, my Camlink works just fine, and DaVinci works just fine, there's nothing that would stop me from using this full time for sure.
All right, let's check in like a month's time and see how you're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm down for that. I think some of the, like the hardest things for me have not even been Omarchy or Linux based. They've been Neovim based, which like.
But like, yeah, just use VS Code. Like nothing's stopping you from using VS Code, is there?
No. I'm doing that. I'm doing the Omarchy thing because it's like, or the Neovim thing because it's like, I want to just go all in. In fact,
you just want to go, yeah.
Shout out to friend of the show, Dax Rad. Open Code is the Claude Code open source terminal user interface alternative. Man, this thing rips. I logged in with my Copilot. I'm using my Copilot. I'm using GPT-5 or whatever. And I'm using this like Claude Code and I'm having it build. There's build mode and agent or build mode and plan mode. And like, I've been using that and I'm building a Super Whisper alternative that uses terminal UI because I've gone so far into the thing. I'm like, I'm going to build a terminal UI super. It even has like an audio level meter and stuff in it. It's ridiculous because I wanted a little project to build on this thing. So I've been building this and it actually, I may make this public if it ends up working really well, but it works pretty fine right now, Wes. It actually, right now, this app system-wide has a system-wide keyboard shortcut. I hit it, it records, I hit it again to stop, and then it outputs into a text file so you could go back in history and to your clipboard whatever you just dictated. And it uses Whisper to do so, so it should be theoretically good. Now there's no config or anything in it yet. It's not like replacing words, but I've been goofing around with it. It's been a lot of fun to learn, I'll tell you that. Written in JavaScript.
Cool.
That's all I got to say. This has been greatly making me reconsider the Apple ecosystem overall, as we've talked about. I've been thinking about Android. I've been thinking about my Apple Watch. I've been thinking about all this stuff. Yeah, let us know what you think. Use it, not, whatever. Try it. What are your thoughts? Omarchy, Linux, overall. What do you think? Leave a comment below. As always, do you want to get into sick picks?
Yeah, let's jump on into it.
Sick picks are the things that we pick that are sick, that we enjoy, things that we like, things that could be anything from a podcast, a movie, all kinds of stuff.
I got one for you. I don't have it right here, but I redid on the weekend. I did our kids' like whole charging infrastructure. Probably, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, I sick picked a Anker charging brick. And it was, I think it had like 8 USB A's in it. And as the new iPhone's about to come out, and I'm so close to just getting rid of all the lightning stuff in our house. And with that, a lot of the USB A stuff. So I bought a new charging brick from Ugreen. It's an 200 watt with, I don't know, 8 ports on it. It has 5 USB-Cs and 2 USB A's. And this thing is awesome. It charges so nice and fast. There's a couple of them that charge at like, I forget what it is, but there's different combinations. But you can charge your laptop on it, no problem. And it charges the iPads and phones nice and fast. And with that, I also got silicone USB-C cords, which are awesome. They're like,
where'd you get them from?
Have you ever had those like silicone monkey noodles that you play with? It's kind of like that, but it's actually a USB cord. They're really thick. And our problem is that the kids get them tangled all the time, and they like snap the ends off and everything like that. So these are like super beefy, really, really neat cords, and I've been really happy with them. They charge wicked fast. They're not USB 3. They don't do the speeds, which I don't care about. I just care that they charge fast enough, and these are great.
I'm not playing with no monkey noodles over here. That's not something I've done.
You've not played with monkey noodles before? Oh,
I have not.
I highly recommend getting a monkey noodle or two as well.
All right. I'm going to have to figure that out. That sounds dope. Cool. Yeah. I thought it looked cute.
We'll throw up a photo of it right here of thing. I posted it on my Twitter.
I'll sick pick this. Considering this whole episode's about Omarchy, I'll sick pick the Omarchy manual. Not necessarily for people who are interested in installing this, but for people who are interested in learning about interesting CLI tools and tools in general. Because the tools inside of here, whether that is the terminal UI stuff like Lazygit, or even some of the apps I had never heard of, just shell tools, even though there's just a few of them. Like I said, I'm going to go install these on my Mac because these are so great. You can CD something like from anywhere. Like if I just open up a terminal here, I can CD into Syntax, which is not anywhere near where I am right now. And it, of course, Syntax. I typed it wrong. I was going to say the one time I go to do a demo, it fails. If I do Syntax, it takes me right there because it has like a memory and it knows the directories that you visited. So man, Zoxide rules, all this stuff rules. And I'm going to install a bunch of these tools on my Mac so that I can have them there as well. I've gotten really used to it.
All right. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. We will catch you later. Peace.
Peace.